Just like our young and energetic population, the Venue was blessed with features. But over the years, the competition grew strong and Hyundai decided that, hey, why not we launch a facelift and plonk every single feature possible in that, except fridge and washing machine. I'm not kidding at all. But how good is it as an overall proposition? We are here in Central Prison, Hyderabad to find that out for you. Hello and welcome back to Shutterdrives. Designs are subjective, but in my humble opinion, the Venue is still the smartest looking compact SUV in its segment. Mainly given the fact that it has a very bold stance, which is further enhanced with this facelift, with this grille, which is a straightaway derivative from the Alcazar. The point being that it looks slightly more bolder than what it should. Except the front grille, everything looks so damn nicely integrated and neat. They gel very well with this compact dimensions of this car. Especially this headlamp unit is phenomenal in terms of the design language that it has. There are projectors here, there are halogens here for the fog lamps, and of course you have this sleek unit which gets an integrated DRL and indicators. But if there's something that could be concerning for many people, is the absence of fog lamps in this particular model. Another small nicer touch is this beautiful silver cladding which is placed below that enhances the appeal of the car. Like I said earlier, Hyundai hasn't left any stone unturned to plonk in the features. You get a request sensor here, using which with the tap of a button here you can enter the car. The roof rails which add to the sporty appeal of the car, and of course a beautiful shark fin antenna at the rear. My personal pick in the Venue has to be this crazy looking rear LED tail lamps. The full setup looks phenomenal in this car. I haven't known of another car which looks so beautiful in the compact SUV space. And then you have these claddings here with reflectors embedded inside them. Overall, a very neat and nice job done by Hyundai out there. And of course you have this, the rear skid plate, to enhance that appeal to the Venue with a couple of parking sensors and a reverse camera. But if there's one favorite element of the Venue for me, except these superb tail lights, it is a beautiful crystalline alloy wheels. They are 16 inches and trust me, it's mind-blowingly phenomenal. That goes very well with the striking design of the car. But there was one thing that wasn't great in the Venue, that is the space. But before we get into the space, let's check out the boot space of this car. So this is the boot space of the Venue practically. Now you can stuff in 2 cabin bags this way, and you can have a duffel bag here for that extra space just in case you need. So moving to the interiors of the Venue, the first thing that you realize is these seats are good enough for someone with my build and personality, but someone who's going to be more bulkier and taller might feel the seats to be slightly smaller. And then you have the interiors which are put up very nicely. It does not look like a compact SUV interiors at all. That's because firstly you have this nicely looking flat bottom steering wheel, which is good to hold, made up of superb quality of materials for a car of this price bracket. And then you have this infotainment system which we're going to talk about in some time. And one thing that I really appreciate here is we still have physical buttons here in this digital age where everything is just going touchscreen, causing more inconvenience to operate the buttons when you're driving. And then we have the introduction of Type-C chargers, which is a great bane when you want to use phones like iPhones and other premium phones. And of course you have the volume control buttons here, but I would like to highlight that the quality of these 2 buttons here could have been better. They feel slightly flimsy compared to the other really nicely put up places inside this beautifully laid out cabin. What's also interesting is I've always appreciated the smaller details that Hyundai pays. For example, you have the provision to keep your key here, which is so helpful. There are 2 nice circular cup holders, thankfully they're not square. And then you have the wireless charging pad here, which is the trend right now. More importantly, you have the chrome finish for the AC vents, which make the cabin look nice and stylish at the same time. What's also interesting is that the glove box is so big that they've actually stuffed in a DSLR there. It's that accommodative, which is a nice thing. Apart from the fact that you get a manual handbrake, you get a sunroof in case you want to get a fresh gasp of air. Another set in this laundry list of features in this car is the air purifier, which gives you signals in three forms: red, yellow and green. Based on that, you'll get to know if the air that you're breathing is pure or impure. So there's one feature that I aspire that every manufacturer should put in their lower budget cars, like the affordable cars, and that's the electric driver seat. That's very helpful, and luckily, thankfully, the Venue gets the electric adjustment for seat. But there's a small fly in the ointment. That's the buttons are way too small to operate, and especially when you're driving at a slow speed and you want to operate, it's not very convenient or easy, and you're going to take some time, I repeat, some time to get used to it. So this is a 20.3 centimeter odd infotainment system. And now, because this car is aimed at the young generation tech savvy people, this plays a very critical role here, and that's why Hyundai has gone all guns blazing to get everything stuffed inside this infotainment system. Firstly, it's smooth, easy to operate, and it's nice. The UI is nice, user friendly, thumbs up there. And there's something that I want to talk about, that is the nature sounds. Basically, this is a feature, and check this out. This gives you a rainy day. So basically there are around 5 to 6 nature sounds. So what you can do with this is, for example, if you're getting bored or if you're getting bugged, just turn on the car, switch on the nature sounds, and virtually be present in the forest while you're actually in office. You get the couple of basic Bluetooth connectivity, and you have something called as valet mode, where you can customize the settings when your car is being handed over to the valet parking, and then you have the blue link, voice commands and whatnot. For example, you can check this out. I want to see the sky.
Please try again after starting the vehicle.
She's very intelligent. I want to see the sky.
Opening the sunroof.
So basically you can open the sunroof just by these voice commands, because fiddling with buttons is too old school and 1990s to open a sunroof. So you of course get the Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, which has become a necessity these days, and then you have Blue Link, using which you can control the car through voice commands only. And what's further interesting is you can connect this car with your Alexa at home. Basically you can sit at your home, talk to the Alexa and tell ki, hey Alexa, turn on my car's AC, and the car's AC gets turned on by the voice commands that you give to your Alexa device at home, which is very, very interesting. And there's something called as Sports, where you can actually check out the scores of cricket, your favorite cricket team, your favorite football team, through this app directly, which is very interesting. And like I said earlier, this car is completely focused on the young millennials, the tech savvy crowd who love to explore such things. So there's one small thing that I want to point out, is one interesting feature called as the driver profile. Basically there are two driver profiles, driver 1 and driver 2, and then there's a guest profile, and you can configure a lot of things based on these driver profiles here. If there's something in Venue that's been bothering many people, the prospective customers, is the rear space. How good is it in the facelift? Honestly, it's more or less the same, because there aren't many major changes here. But that said, you do get the rear AC vents here with a nice chrome finish. See, these are the smaller touches which separates the Hyundai from other brands, from other mainstream brands. That's my personal opinion, because Hyundai does pay a lot of attention in such smaller details. And then surprisingly, you just get Type-C charging ports here in the rear. There is an omission of the USB ports. I feel that they should have at least provided one USB port and one Type-C, because I feel that having Type-C chargers everywhere except that one single port is a slight constraint. And then these are the door handles that I want to talk about because they're slightly bigger in size. I think a slightly shorter, smaller, proportionate door handles would have made slightly more sense. And then talking about the seat comfort itself, firstly, it's reclinable. How do you recline it? This way. That's actually nice, and that enhances the comfort and makes you feel less claustrophobic because, like I said earlier, the legroom isn't the best of the best. That said, the under support is good, and this having a slightly tall bush design has a good headroom as well. My favorite thing in the rear space has to be the reclining option, which is actually very helpful. Last but certainly not the least, we cannot go away without mentioning this armrest, which is leather wrapped with 2 cup holders in place. So we are driving the DCT now. This is a 1 liter turbo petrol engine cruising 120 bhp of power and 72 Newton meter. First things first, is the engine vocal according to 1 liter standards? Yes, but not very evident if you are set it on the gas. That said, the mid-range is where the meat of this particular engine lies, the meat of the power band lies. The mid-range, it's very strong, it's very enthusiastic, it's tailored for a nice use. And once you get on to the higher ranges, it's not that the engine feels lifeless or something, it's just that you understand that this car deserves slightly better numbers. This car is capable of handling those better numbers. That said, talking about the steering feedback, surprisingly I'm really happy with the steering feedback in Hyundai, because generally there's a misconception that all Hyundai cars aren't really good in terms of the steering feedback. This Venue is here to break that particular stereotype with the nice steering feedback here. It weighs up eventually around say 70 kmph, 60 kmph is when the steering starts weighing up, and it weighs up beautifully post 100 kmph mark. That said, I urge you to exercise extreme cautions when you're driving at high speeds on our highways. Talking about the gear shifts, the bread and butter of this particular car, the gear shifts are actually smooth. That's just like we have seen in the DCTs of Hyundais, which are a kind of benchmark, not an absolute benchmark as such, but definitely a benchmark in this segment. There's barely any noticeable lag. It's very minute, especially when you're just starting off the car in the first gear. There is a minute lag that's exhibited, but post that there are barely any instances or scenarios where you will find that the car is actually changing gears, unlike the renowned infamous AMTs of Maruti Suzuki. So talking about the braking performance, you get discs in the front and drums at the rear. The braking performance is good. It's actually much better than the vanilla i20, not the N-line, the vanilla i20. And उसमें तो बहुत normal, बहुत average braking था, but this is like much better than that. Really appreciate it from that perspective. And of course, we have the paddle shifters in the DCT. If you are someone who likes to change gears with the tap of a button behind the steering wheel using your fingers, you got to be happy because paddle shifters work like a charm. And boy, this car is worth the numbers that it is clocking every single month. Honestly, when 3-4 years ago when the Venue was launched, it was clocking around 8,500 units ke aaspas monthly average. But surprisingly, in spite of the rising competition, the numbers now stand at somewhere around 9,200 to 300 approximately a month, which is staggering considering that the competition has really increased in the last couple of years. But still, this lad manages to get there, and this is just the start of the second innings, because now Venue is better in every possible way. There is no way that the old Venue has any brownie points over the newer one. So talking about the high-speed handling, I'm not recommending that you try out high speeds, but this is a beautiful stretch. The Hyderabad-Warangal road, the highway, it's excellent, and we got an opportunity to do some good speeds carefully in limited environments, and it's actually pretty surprised. I'm pretty surprised that the Venue is able to handle the speeds really good. Last but not the least, if I have to nitpick, it's just that the NVH levels could have been slightly better when you're actually revving the car a lot. When you're driving steadily, you won't even realize it's pin drop silencer, literally mean it. But then the typical 1 liter engine's clutter is slightly evident once you get higher on the revs. So last but not the least, talking about the visibility, I'm able to see the complete edges of the bonnet, and this is going to be one of the USPs of this car compared to say a hatchback, because This is the horn of the car. Not a pure wind tone as such, but does the job better than most of the other hatchbacks out there or compact SUVs. This is decent enough, but yeah, it could have been more AC, more open.
Low speed ride quality is compliant and mature, with small bumps being absorbed well. However, there's a bit of firm edge to the ride when you drive on bad roads and large potholes, just like most of the Hyundais out there. Although small-sized potholes can be easily ignored, the medium-sized potholes make their presence feel inside the cabin. However, on the expressway things are notch higher. The car feels quite comfortable on big highways. While our car was equipped with 16-inch wheels, lesser variants get 15-inch rims, which could be slightly gentler on the ride quality. As expected out of a compact monocoque crossover, the Venue is pretty much car-like to drive with no nasty surprises whatsoever. You will certainly appreciate this in the city and on highway drives. In terms of handling, the Venue remains composed through fast corners. There's some body roll that's exhibited, but that's fairly controlled. The car feels definitely sorted when pushed through corners. It behaves like you would expect a car with similar dimensions to do so, with neat and clean dimensions. But if you are used to the pampering from the legendary EcoSport on the highways, you will certainly aspire for more. The car also gets a crazy ground clearance of approximately 200mm, ensuring that it doesn't have a slightest opportunity to kiss the ground, no matter what kind of craters, potholes, or even undulations are thrown at it.
More than 50% of the working population in our country are millennials, and India is home to the third largest social media users in the world. And now we understand what's the target group of Hyundai for Venue. It's these people. Basically, what Hyundai has done is they have plugged in all the features into this car. They made it so tech savvy that every consumer who is in this age group would love to get this home. Now, how good is the balance is the biggest question for which we have an answer. Honestly, the balance is as nice as it can get because you have a lot of options in terms of the engine and gearbox combinations, and that's where this car excels apart from the laundry list of features. However, if I have to nitpick one thing in this otherwise excellent package, it has to be the rear seat space. That's because we have seen this segment offer some really nicer rooms inside the cabin. That's where this car needs that extra push to get selling off the showroom shelves. If you guys like the video, do not forget to subscribe to our channel and follow us on Instagram. Take care, drive safe and stay healthy.